Hash mark, they send two receivers left, two in the backfield in pistol formation for the first time for the Marauders. Handoff off the left side, and he's going to be hit for a loss. He fumbles the ball. Davenport's got it 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Davenport on a scoop and score. Taking it in for the touchdown from the 20-yard line. 30.
And with that, we welcome you to the Davenport Coaches Show live from your Charles of Caledonia. A dramatic scoop and score by Donovan Franklin. One of the key plays as Davenport goes all the way to Bismarck, North Dakota, and comes back with a 44-34 win. We think they're back. They left on Saturday early evening, and Coach is back. I don't know if the rest of the team's made it back yet. Coach, the longest trip in program history by far. You didn't get back till 10 o'clock the next day, but at least you had the enjoyment of a victory on the road to bring back with you.
Truly, it was an experience. It's one of those experiences that, you can say you did it once and you'll never do it again. Getting those guys back here, it was tough. And I think today, I was just talking to Preston. He's one of our guests today. Where is he at with his body? He feels like he's just now starting to come around. So the 616 boys are back, and it was with a victory, and the university is very excited, and we put that one behind us, and we're ready to move forward.
Did you make that a home and home with them so that they've got to drive out here next year or not?
Yeah, I had a nice conversation with their coach, and I said, look, whatever you need to do to make this a flight, you might want to make this a flight.
That's great.
So you'll probably be flying with his team.
But they are coming here, though.
They'll be here next year, yeah,
right.
and another tough battle.
Good to hear that. All right, let's talk about the game. You got up 19 very quickly, marched right down, a touchdown, then we heard the Donovan Franklin scoop and score, a couple of field goals, you're up 19-0. Things couldn't look better at that point in time. Let's talk about that start after that long drive. That had to be satisfying at that point.
Well, one of the things, you have to think about with young people, we just made this incredibly long trip, and you've been around me for a while. I don't make any excuses for anything, but I don't think that 19-0 start did us any favors, and especially this group, Rick, because you know this group better than anyone out there as you call our games, and we've allowed teams to get back in games when we've gotten these larger leads, and I truly felt like we made that run early. We had a lot of energy, and I think that early passion and energy ignited us so much that all of a sudden we took a deep drop off, okay? And sometimes that's what too much passion and energy does to you, and I felt like that bus ride took over, right there at that 19-0, lead. And I truly felt like that affected us. And to the boys' credit, they fought back hard. They put themselves in position to win. So they show resiliency once again, when adversity hits, that they have the ability to reach down, that intestinal fortitude to go reach down and go get it. And I wish it wasn't that way, but it was, and we're back here. We're 7-0, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, and one of the reasons you were able to bounce back was the play of Preston Smith, who we're going to talk to a little bit later on. Big second half for him. He made a really crucial touchdown catch, and I thought an even bigger catch for a first down would have set up the final field goal down there inside the 10.
Preston and I have a very unique relationship, and, I felt so good for him in that game because he's finally, I feel like he's back. I was talking to him today. He had one of his better practices today. But in the game, he told me, get him the ball. He said, get me the ball. And at that point in time, I said, I love hearing stuff like that, and so we did just that and kind of relayed that information over to Devin, and Devin dialed up a few plays that, man, it was perfect. It was perfect, and we got him going, and that's what you do with big-time players. When you're struggling, get those guys the ball, and, let's see if they can get us going.
Also, a nice bounce back by Jason Whitaker, who started out well at the beginning. Then he went on a string where he missed 8 out of 10 passes. And then I think in the second half, he completed all but one of his passes in the second half.
Yeah, once again, big-time players make big plays. When we started struggling, we pretty much put it in, into our leaders' hands and said, get us home, and once again, Myron had a great game. Khalif had a nice game, and our line did a very solid job. But it just, it took a quarter or so to really get that thing going. And I saw some really good things in that second half that needs to carry over, to this week and moving forward.
We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Davenport home Saturday, Saginaw Valley, 12 noon. You want to get out here and catch a game. You mentioned magnificent Myron Harris there. He went over the 100-yard mark for the sixth straight game, 139. He gave us a scare, though, Coach. He went down in that second half, and we didn't know how seriously he was hurt. Next thing I know, he's out there again running 67 yards.
Yeah, he was fine. Both of those two guys, they run so hard, and their style of play is pretty rugged. They're going to be dinged up, and our guys know. Be honest with us, and we're going to play a little banged up, and if you need to come out, come out. Don't try and be a hero. If you're injured, we'll get you out and let our trainers handle you. But other than that, tough it out. Let's go. We need you. And I was proud that our backfield did a good job of carrying us once again.
You mentioned Khalif the Beef Jenkins. He became the all-time leading rusher in Davenport history, which is really significant when you consider, Coach, I don't think he's probably had more than 5 or 6 plays of over 20 yards. Normally, your leading rusher's got a lot of big 70 and 80 yards. He's not going to get that, but he's just got it chunk after chunk.
Yeah, he's a road grader, man. He's a semi, and he's done a heck of a job. He was one of the very first recruits that I signed out of high school here, and like I said, when you have that type of leader, he's been a captain here, and he and Myron, man, they're having a heck of a season. They're one heck of a 1-2 punch, and if we didn't have the both of them, I don't know where this team would be right now. And because it seems like our offense is now starting to, to find its way. And in the meantime, we've established a nice run game in which I've always looked forward to. Because in the GLIAC, you got to be able to run the football if you're going to compete for GLIAC titles.
Especially when the weather turns, and it is turning as we speak. So, Coach, we're going to have a special guest. Scott Cook, the men's and women's cross-country coach, joins us. We'll be back with you later in the show after Preston comes in. We'll talk about this coming game against Saginaw Valley.
Awesome.
Well, stay with us. The Davenport Coaches Show from Uccellos and Caledonias rolls on here. Stay with us. And we continue the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccellos and Caledonia. I'm Rick Berkey. Coach Scott Cook, the men's and women's cross-country coach, joins us right now. The only cross-country coach in the history of Davenport University Athletics. 16th season. Coach, let's take you back. Was it 2006 or 7, was it, that you started?
2007.
The campus had just been started out here, right?
Yeah, it was pretty new. Academic building and then Cook and Meyer Hall, and that was pretty much it.
How many other sports were here when you started coaching here?
I think 6 or 7, both basketballs, both golfs, both soccers, and volleyball, I think.
What was it like for you to be on the ground floor to start a program like that?
I think way harder than I thought it would be. Just you have nothing to build on, and just a lot of work. No one wants to be the first.
Yeah, we'll talk about this year's team again, coaching the men and women. And, Coach, you guys compete pretty much all year round in the fall and indoor. Tell us about the schedule, calendar-wise, how that goes.
Yeah, so during the cross-country season starts us off. We move in the middle of August, and cross-country goes until middle of November. And then we roll right into indoor track, which goes until about spring break. Our national championship for that's the second week in March. And then a couple weeks after that, outdoor starts, and that goes to Memorial Day.
How often do you find, Scott, whether it's the men's or women's side, runners that compete, there's quite a difference between running indoors and outdoors, you know, or are they pretty much, if they're at this level, they'll be that way indoors or outdoors?
You know, it's similar. I think some of our taller athletes, it's a little harder to run indoor because the track is smaller than the outdoor track. We're running on 200 and 300-meter tracks versus the bigger track, the 400-meter track.
I'm going to throw out some names for you. Just give us some comments so that our listeners can catch up a little bit on the women's program. Let's start with graduate student Erin Dorn, second team all GLIAC this year.
Yep, second year she's been all conference. One of our captains, unbelievable worker and leader for us. Really one of those self-made athletes, someone that was, you know, a good high school athlete, but has really made herself into a great runner. Also a national qualifier in the 800 indoors last year.
Junior Ella Barrio.
Again, Ella Barrio is one of those just super tough kids, a multi-sport athlete in high school. Now that she's focusing more on running, has really done a great job, and also a national qualifier outdoors in the 3,000 steeplechase.
And somebody we're familiar, you got a nice turnover here when Scout Nelson left women's basketball and started joining running with you.
Correct. So Scout ran outdoor track the last few years when she was done with.
She ran cross country now, right?
But this was the first year she's run cross country
How'd
since
she
high
do?
school. Great. She was a very good high school cross country runner,
a
very good run.
All right, let's go over to the men's side. Another all-conference performer, freshman Jordan am I saying right? Domine.
Right here from Caledonia kid. Again, just a super tough, hard-working kid. Just grew and grew. I think he's one of those guys that the longer distance at the college level suits him a little better than the high school level. So look for big things for him.
Another one of your top runners, junior Garrett Melling.
Yeah, Garrett Melling, one of our captains, really had a big breakthrough last spring in the 5,000, broke 15 minutes on the track, and just has continued to improve.
I'm not connected with your sport, Scott, but it seems to me I hear in the running sports, cross country and track and such, there seems to be a burnout issue more than other sports. Is that the case where you really have to fight athletes becoming burned out, especially when they go year-round?
Yeah, I mean, it can be because they don't get the summers off because they have to push themselves hard in the summer to be ready in August for the season. So, yeah, you have to manage the time down. You have to manage your mental health. You have to find time to do other things and have fun. But, yeah, it can be a real grind.
Tell us, Scott, about your recruiting philosophy. Where are you getting your athletes from, and has that changed over your 16 years?
I think you always want to be strong locally. You want to get local kids, to kind of defend your backyard. But I mean, we'll take kids from just about everywhere. I mean, most of the kids on our team probably right now on the cross country side are Michigan kids for the most part. But on the track side, we have some international kids. We have a lot of kids from Ohio, some kids from Indiana, some kids from Illinois. We've done really well in Illinois over the past few years.
Did you see a change when we jumped to D2?
Yeah, I mean, I think at NCAA Division II has a little bit more brand recognition, so you just kind of have access to some kids that didn't really know what the NAI was and were just more familiar with the NCAA.
Scott, tell us about your family and how they put up with all the time you've got to put in year-round coaching.
Well, yeah, it's always a struggle to get here and get there and pick people up and stuff like that. But, yeah, I live right here in Caledonia. 2 kids in the Caledonia system, a sophomore and a 7th grader. So enjoying all that little stuff, starting to run at the high school level. My son just finished up his 7th grade football season. Got his basketball tryouts tomorrow, so always busy.
All right, Scott, what keeps you coming year after year coaching? What's the buzz you get out of it?
It's just the student-athletes, being part of their lives and helping them accomplish their goals, and every year getting new, fresh, and wide-eyed and excited kids. So if you're around excited people, it's hard to not be excited.
Scott, great catching up with you. You're going to keep up the great work for Davenport. We look forward to visiting with you again down the road.
All right, thanks, Rick.
All right, we'll take a break. We're going to come back and talk with Preston Smith, the player we talked about earlier in our first segment. Stay with us. The Davenport Coaches Show rolls on from Uccellos in Caledonia. Right there, bud.
Back to pass in the pocket. He goes long down here for Preston Smith, who's out there. He's got it inside the 10-yard line. Preston Smith with a massive second half. He caught a touchdown pass earlier. He went up high, and Pogo Preston brought it down. Brady tackled him inside the 5-yard line. First and goal, DU.
Yep. And with that, we've got Pogo Preston right here, Preston Smith, the 6'4", 210-pound junior from Sterling Heights, Michigan. And a big game for you. And I was telling Coach there, the touchdown pass was certainly a big part of that win.
Yep.
But I thought that catch down there inside the 10 when they had the momentum going and we had to run out the clock, that setup, that was even bigger, I thought. What did you think?
I thought it was a big catch, too.
All right, let's talk about when you came out there, because I thought, and Ryan calling the game with me, and I'm sure a lot of Panther fans who were listening or watching thought they're just going to run the ball, try to use the clock up, but they got aggressive. What was the mindset in the offensive huddle?
Honestly, we didn't even talk about it. It just happened. Me and Jay Witt, we just connected, and it was something that we did all the time last year. So
I noticed that last year that sometimes you'll take a little peek over at Jay Witt, and you guys get eye contact, and you know what each other's thinking, right?
Yeah.
You were second-team All-GLIAC last year, 43 catches, 567 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And then this year, right on track, 23 grabs, 323 yards, 6 touchdowns already. Compare how you feel about your game this year compared to last year.
This year, I'm coming back from injury, so it's that challenge that I'm going through too. But honestly, I feel great, and I feel like I'm coming back to myself and better than myself last year. So I'm excited.
You should be. We saw you early on in the year, and we saw that you made some great grabs, and then you got banged up a little. And what were you doing in rehab from the injury? Tell us about specifically what you were doing to get better.
A lot of lifting, running, just trying to stay in shape and sharpen up my IQ of the playbook and everything all around just to get better.
Went to Sterling Heights, from Sterling Heights, went to Henry Ford High School.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about your high school playing days. Maybe a coach that was really influential in your development as a player and maybe as a person.
Coach Winters. I was a junior and before he retired, and he believed in me, honestly, and he pushed me every day to get to where I was, and I'll always remember him.
Did he get over to see you play at all?
Yeah, actually, last year he came to the Saginaw Valley game, and, we won that. That was a big game.
Oh, yeah, that was a dramatic game. That was a fantastic game as well. Let's talk about this trip, Preston, because I'm sure you've never been on any type of trip like that, 15 hours one way.
Not at all.
How did you and your teammates, first of all, keep your sanity on that trip going over, first of all?
Honestly, it was like a lot of time to bond and get closer because, we're in a compact area for 15 hours. So we honestly just cracked a bunch of jokes. Some people did homework. Some people slept in the middle of the aisles. It was a lot going on that bus.
Did you get to practice at Minnesota?
Yeah.
What was it
great.
like practicing at a Big Ten stadium?
The atmosphere was lovely. The indoor was great. It was a good atmosphere for sure.
All right. Then you had to make the even seem longer trip back, but you had the enjoyment of the victory in your back pocket. Tell us about the trip back.
The trip back is slightly more challenging because we're all banged up, and we didn't stop. It was a straight shot there and back, and I'm still recovering now from that trip.
Yeah, coaches gave you a day off, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did. You would deserve that as well. All right. Let's talk about the mindset of this team, Preston. Where are you guys mentally right now? What's the thought process? Because you're 7-0 now. You were 7-0 last year. But there's a lot of differences from this year's team from last year. How do you compare the two?
Just being mature from last year. Last year was our first time going 8-0. And now we know what it feels like. What it feels like to win. And we're just trying now to keep it going.
Preston, what do you do for yourself away from football, away from school? What do you do for your own personal enjoyment?
Play 2K. I like to just kick back. When I'm not on the field, sit back and try to relax as much as possible.
What's on your it's not iPod anymore. What is it where you're listening to when you're warming up? Who's your go-to person?
Rod Wave or Drake right now.
That gets you going in the game.
Yep.
Tell the folks a little bit about Club Panther after a victory down in the locker room, what that's like, because I've seen the videos. I've not been down. I'm always up in the booth when it happens. Tell us about what goes on in Club Panther, which is your locker room.
I mean, if you're in the stadium, you'll hear about it. You'll hear it. You'll hear us. And you can always tune into my Instagram or somebody else's. We're always live.
Preston, tell us about your family and who are the biggest influences you as you grew up.
Everybody. I got a twin. I have a big family. I got 4 siblings.
You have a twin?
Yeah.
And tell us about your twin.
It's a girl. I have
Okay.
a twin sister. She played basketball, and she's retired now. But we're all close. I just saw my little brother play yesterday in a championship game. He goes to Cass Tech, and he plays quarterback. He did great. So it was.
You going to get him over here?
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
You better as
For
well.
sure.
All right, your sport management major. Tell us what you maybe see yourself doing whenever your football days are done. What's kind of your dream job? What would you like to do?
Honestly, I like training kids. When I work out, I have a lot of kids like ask me questions. This summer I went back to my high school and talked to the kids at my high school, and they ask me questions all the time, and I like to answer them. So just helping kids get better.
Great. You'd be a great influence on young people. I can tell that for sure. Preston Smith, number 1 on your program, and keep an eye on him. A big game this week. Thanks for stopping by. Get some more rest, and we want to see you healthy out there Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break, come back and talk with Coach Sparky one more time as we get closer to the end of the Davenport Coaches Show, live from Uccello's in Caledonia.
There we go. Yeah, that's good.
And our final segment of the Davenport Coaches Show from Uccello's in Caledonia. A little programming note, by the way. Next week, we're here on Tuesday nights, but next Tuesday night is Halloween. So next week only, we're going to be here on Wednesday. So make note of that. Next Wednesday, if you're used to tuning in online, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, we'll do it. And you can always catch the broadcast later, of course, if you want. But again, next week only, we'll go to Wednesday because of Halloween, 1 week from the night. Coach Sparky McEwen joins us for our final segment as we preview this Saturday's game against Saginaw Valley, 12 noon. And, Coach, before we talk about this year's Saginaw Valley squad, we got to reflect back to last year's game against SVSU in Saginaw and what a key game that was in your season, winning the game in the final minute of play on the road.
It was a huge game for us, and you know, when things came to a conclusion there, for our season, and when you look back at how that thing played out, the win at Truman State and the win versus Tech at home, and then ultimately the win versus Saginaw, there in Saginaw was significant.
Because they were ranked at that time, right?
Yeah, they were ranked, and really good football team, very talented. And I truly felt that the winner of that game last year was going to have a shot. Even the loser of that game still was going to have a shot, depending on how the rest of the region played out. But it worked itself out that, we were able to win a very, very good, game against a very tough team. And then we went on to advance the tournament.
Speaking of rankings, you're in the top 15 in all the rankings, as high as number 11 in one of them.
Yeah,
and now it's starting to become more pertinent. You were saying that's down the road, but now it's starting to mean something as you get closer to the postseason.
That is true. And, it's nice when you're recognized by, your peers for the hard work that the boys have put in, in the off season, during the season, and now it's coming to light. But right now, we're very gracious of that. But we know at the end of the day, none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff's going to, play itself out, when it comes to playing on the field. And you're going to have to come out with your best when you play against a team that I call it the Bermuda Triangle with those 3 teams that we have remaining on our schedule. And the Bermuda Triangle, man, it's tough. And that's exactly what we have our hands full, starting this week.
Let's talk about those Saginaw Valley Cardinals, coached by Ryan Brady, 4th year heading the program, former Grand Valley quarterback. And they're 1-2 right now in conference play, but they got their first league win last week in dramatic fashion. In overtime, they edged Wayne State 17-10.
They did, and we know how tough the GLIAC play is here. And sure enough, that was another great fight, a great GLIAC battle. And when you look at the statistics, Wayne State, if I look at it correctly, I think had 42 minutes in with ball possession. And to Saginaw's credit, man, Saginaw was just able to make plays. And they made the plays at the right time. And that's just good old-fashioned GLIAC football. And if you take a look at Saginaw's losses, all their losses are to teams ranked in the top 20. Saginaw is what I call a blue blood. They're known nationally as a national program, that schedules, some talented teams. And this year, unfortunately, last year they were able to beat those teams, and this year, those teams have, been able to come back and get a win this year. So it's been tough sledding. They've already played GV and they played Ferris and they played those teams, tough in spurts. And then they went on to play Truman and they played Indianapolis as well. So it's going to be another, great GLIAC battle that we're really excited about. And they know this is this is championship, type of caliber football that you have to play against a quality opponent like this.
They have a bona fide dual threat in running back Terrence Brown. He's got over 500 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. He's also caught 7 passes out of the backfield for 2 other touchdowns. He can hurt you.
He's legit. And one of the things that Brady does really well, and I worked with Brady there at Ferris State, he's a tremendous recruiter. He's relentless, on the recruiting trail, man, and I know him, and he does a heck of a job, and he puts together some really talented football players, man. And we roll the film, and we're sitting there. If it's a bounce here or a bounce there, they very easily could have put themselves in position to win those 4 games that they actually lost. And some special teams errors, interception or something, a fumble, scoop it. So many things has happened to his ball club where, don't allow that 4 losses to fool you. That team could have very easily have put themselves in position. They were playing Grand Valley extremely tough. And then all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. Couple special teams, touchdowns and, different things like that hurt them, So this is going to be, once again, another great GLIAC clash.
It seems like it's been over a month with the long trip and everything since you were home. It's only been 3 weeks, but that's still 3 weeks. It'll be so great to get back home to the farm.
Well, 3 of our past 4 weeks, in the last 4 weeks, 3 of them have been on the road. And, everyone would talk about the first 4 weeks that we had, but we had 3 of 4 on the road, and they were unusual road trips. Up to Houghton, the night game in Detroit, which we don't play night games, and then the 16-hour bus ride. So my boys are tired, but they know we got to get it going, man. And there's nothing that gets you more juiced up than playing a really good Cardinal football team.
And it's a 12 noon kickoff this Saturday against Saginaw Valley. You want to catch it, Davenport, again 7-0 on the season, has a chance to maintain that lead and stay undefeated in GLIAC play with a win this Saturday. Hope you can join us there. Coach, we'll be back here again next Wednesday because we're off for Halloween next Tuesday. So we'll be a week from tomorrow night. We'll be back here with the second one. So best of luck. Let's keep it going.
Let's go.
All right, Coach Sparky McEwen, once again, thanks for joining us. Our technical assistants, Anthony and Khalid, thanks for their great job. Thanks to our special guests, men's and women's cross country coach Scott Cook, and of course wide receiver Preston Smith join us for all. So for Coach McEwen, I'm Rick Berge saying thanks for joining us, and go Panthers.